consequence. An alternate mid-kick launcher is her 3H+K. Unlike 3-3K, it is unsafe on block, but it has the ability to high crush, so you can go under highs and get a counter hit launch. Although it doesn't, well, 3-3K does launch higher on higher hit statuses like counter hit or high counter hit, where 3H+K doesn't, on average, doesn't really launch that high, but it can be a go-to option if you're uncertain about a 3-3K. Because I find that 3-3K doesn't launch as well on, or doesn't really set up good juggles as well on like either like normal hits or on level 1. Its 3-3K tends to be really good if you use it at least about level 2. Like on critical level 3, it generally you would end up getting something like you can end up getting a 6-6K delay K follow-up, for instance. But on juggles where you're not generally able to get the 3-3K follow-up, I mean the 6-6K follow-up, then 3-3K is generally, I don't find it's really that effective. Like all you really would get is follow-up maybe with something like 3P. But if you are in front of a wall, then 3-3K is almost always your go-to launcher, especially like if it's usually it's a post-critical burst launcher of choice. So if I were to like opt for a critical burst, it's what do. Oh shit. I'll just throw something together. So you can end up using that as your juggle launchers with 3-3K. If you end up launching this, yeah, I'll just go for the kind of Fisher Price critical burst setup. In a juggle, you can usually go for against most opponents would be 3-3K or 3-3K, 3-3P, back turn 2P, then P-K-K, 6K. Like in front of a wall, like this is generally the launch you're gonna have to do. During stun mix-up, you can also go for like 8K just for like fast launches, and just kind of just get like simple damage there. Of course, generally in a wall, what you want to do is focus around trying to wall slam your opponent. So the most common time you're gonna like launch someone in front of the wall is if they're just kind of either far in threshold or if you like post critical burst. But most other times you're probably in front of a wall, you'll just go for like a wall slam, with 6P, 6K being the wall slam move of choice. And I'll just continue on just a bit with launchers. Then I'll also go on to her wall game, because Kasumi's wall game can be very devastating. As for launchers, I think I went over most of them. She does have the ability, and that's also a capability in DOA, is if you end up doing like the same move twice in a row, it's usually going to have a result that the opponent is either just knocked down, or they fall over, or they get launched. Something like Kasumi's her 3P can do that. Her P+K can also do that. And I know that there's other ones like her 6K can end up like launching from behind. But during the stun game, I find an actual really dangerous move you can do with her is using her H+K. As long as you're not too far in the threshold to say like just on around critical level 1, you can end up setting up fairly high damaging combos with that. I mean, also if you are pretty far into threshold, 9K can also launch, but it has to be like fairly high though. Like usually just around level 3s when it's usually best to like launch with like 9K. But yeah, during stun, if you're just around critical level 1, if you are trying to go for damage, I do recommend using H+K. I mean, unfortunately, this move actually was, well, it still is, in my opinion, H+K still is really good, but unfortunately, it is holdable in last round. It used to be, and I think it might have been patched in Ultimate. I'm not sure, but I remember that early on this move used to be unholdable, and I guess it just got really abused because it's a really good counter hit combo starter. As for continuing with the stun game, her 3 PP actually is a 2-in-1, so you can have the option to just do 1 or go for 2. The thing about going for 2 is it also does quite a lot of critical damage, so you have to be careful not to go over the stun threshold. Because then you'll just get like a instant knockdown. Because sometimes what I may do is not necessarily go that far just to keep H+K as a combo option, because H+K also does a lot of critical damage. So what that means is that if it can exceed the threshold maybe a little easily. But the thing is that it's technically not a launcher, so it won't launch if it exceeds the threshold. So you'd have to do it like fairly early on. As for launchers, technically her 7K can also be used as a launcher. By and large, it doesn't necessarily set up the most damaging combos, but it is still it still is a pretty, well, at 12 frames, it's a pretty fast launcher.